EPRI's working to do some automation for a manual labor task at power plants. One of our utilities contacted EPRI, asked us to see if we could help them with an issue about filing documents to the computerized maintenance system. They were trying to find a consistent method where they could put these documents to the right asset. If we could automate the task, make it much more robust, less error likely, and then we could also make it much quicker and we could let more people do the task, then we have a better rate of success. Various documents come into the power plant that need to be mapped to a specific equipment in the computerized maintenance management system, and right now that's done manually and is very labor intensive. The information comes from internal organizations like the maintenance group, also the corporate engineering group, corporate safety, lessons learned from other plants in the same utility, and then lessons learned from plants outside the utility. Then you also have external organizations like vendors and OEMs, technical information bulletins. All of those sources are the ones that this person has to track. The volume varies based on what's happening at the plant. If they've just completed an outage, there's a large volume of documents that get wrapped up at the end of the outage. Normal day-to-day, it's probably 1 or 2 documents that come in per day. The equipment reliability is tracked so you can maintain a history of all the equipment and all the work that's been done on it. We're looking to help out mostly the maintenance organization or the people in charge of the equipment reliability. So all of these documents would get mapped to the appropriate equipment. It could be a boiler feed pump, it could be an FD fan, it could be at a hydro plant, it could be the water wheel or the penstock. Any of those kind of components at any plant, it's really agnostic to the plant, because they all use some sort of equipment database. It helps every piece of equipment that's in their Maximo or SAP. Those are the equipment databases mostly used, and this works for all of those. The vendors will give updates if they found something new about the equipment after they've installed it. They have the original vendor document. You do equipment inspections on some period. You do preventive maintenance on some period. All of those documents need to be mapped to the correct equipment. There's a lot of information coming in on it.
Probably like a lot of utilities, we don't have the best route to get our documents to where they need to be. You know, we're early on in our ER implementation plan. So we transitioned over to a new CMMS last year, and the system owners are still developing a lot of the locations and assets. So it looks like we're going to end up somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 15,000 for a 4-coal unit plant with 2 scrubbers and the back end, but I expect that'll continue to grow over time. We estimate around 200 or so documents a year that we need to direct to the correct location. We've used a shared file folder system that really by unit versus by locations. We would file these documents and hope that they were there when we needed them. So people started storing them on their own hard drive, and that's not where we want to be. So we need the information in the right location and know that it's there when we need it. Our utility is working with EPRI on this AI project by supplying numerous older reports from various pieces of equipment, and we also supplied our location and asset hierarchy to allow EPRI and their team to work around with the information. I'm hoping that the outcome of this project is a streamlined, standardized process where we can map our documents to the correct location and it be reliable and we know that it's there when we need it to make decisions. Our location hierarchy is the foundation of many processes that we can build upon. So these reports and documents are very important and critical to decision making and root cause analysis. A simple, standardized process that will drive these documents to the right location where the other equipment information is also stored and it'll be easily accessible. Right now we're looking at the first and second quarter of 2022 to continue building on our master equipment list, location, asset hierarchy, and move into the PMs. We will still maintain hard copies as we have in the past, but with everything moving to requesting digital copies, I would expect 3 years from now, if this project is a success, I see it making things a lot easier, a lot more dependable and reliable for the documents that the guys need to access. I expect it to be a lot more organized and just a lot more streamlined. And this will spread throughout the rest of the company.
We have 2 major hurdles when we're looking at NLP applications. One is that we're lacking data. So EPRI is trying to balance that by combining data from multiple members. The second hurdle that we have is language. We use words differently. While most natural language processing algorithms are based on normal everyday language, like filter has a different meaning in electrical applications than it does in everyday language, we're trying to balance it out through dictionary efforts and adding data to our data sets. Our main goal for this project, for the proof of concept, was to figure out which algorithm works best for our application. We want to sort documents into topics. So it's a classic bucket sorting algorithm. And we had to figure out with the data we have, with the buckets we have, which algorithm works best. And we got our best algorithm to an 82% accuracy, which is great for a small proof of concept like we did. We want to get to a full-blown software application that we can roll out with members, where they can automatically sort documents that they hand over to the software into an asset management system. The main milestones we have going on for this software is now to gather more data so that we can get a more accurate algorithm. 82% is good, but for a good application, we need to come in the range of 95 to 98%. I think there are more projects down the line, like drawing, sorting, things like that, when we've talked to members where that type of algorithm will be very helpful.
So EPRI's role in this project is really to help accelerate and develop research and development around artificial intelligence capabilities to help the power industry. Bringing these different groups together for a collaborative focus on the research and identifying what are the crucial topics or issues that we want to identify and either improve or eliminate through the use of artificial intelligence, technology, and processes. So EPRI's in a very unique position to kind of bridge the gap between the AI community and the power industry because of our focus on research and development. There is tons of potential in the AI community for improving processes and improving overall asset management. And I think EPRI's staff has a really good line of sight on what are the key factors, what are the key issues that the industry is looking at, and identifying what's the right tools and technology to either improve those or eliminate some of those problems. We look at how our assets are operating and looking at really the resiliency of our industry moving forward.
The long-term vision for this piece of software and this algorithm is to enable automation. We want to get away from people having to sort that. An algorithm takes away that inaccuracy and that risk of failing and enables people to focus on the real work. Bringing in an algorithm, especially if you're setting up a system like that, will enable us to bring more history into the system. If you have to do that manually, you'll probably bring in like 3-5 years of inspection reports, but if you have a 20-year-old plant, you have way more history. If you can just throw it as an algorithm and let it run, you can bring in the full 20 years.
My vision is that when any plant receives that document, they send it to just a standard email address, and that enters it into the algorithm, and that automatically maps it to the correct equipment in the equipment asset database. One of the equipment maintenance specialists, when he sits down to actually do this task, it takes several hours to get all this done. But we've already tried it with using the algorithm, and the algorithm does it in seconds. It's almost instantaneous. It's really amazing. 5 or 10 years down the road, we already understand we're in an energy transformation, and part of that energy transformation is that the landscape of the utility plants are changing. Larger centralized utilities are changing, so you're going to smaller centralized facilities like combustion turbine sites or hydro assets or renewable. Those are much smaller staffs, so you have to automate. They just don't have the people to do those tasks. So this will make that process and that change much more efficient and much more effective.